So hello, my name's Sandra Campbell. I'm tutor for admissions here at St John's College. I'm also a medical tutor for the college and I do translational research up in the Department of Oncology.
Hello, I'm Tony Weidberg. I'm a professor in particle physics here and I'm also a college tutor in physics at St John's.
Hi, I'm Caitlin. I'm a second year physicist here at John's.
Hello, I'm Sparshita Dey, and I'm a third year physicist at St John's, and Tony was my tutor for the first 2 years.
Hello, my name's Alice Parrott. I'm a student recruitment officer working in the undergraduate admissions and outreach office. I work in UK and Europe.
Okay, Sparshita, I think we'll start off with you. And the first question I have is, what made you want to study physics at Oxford?
So when I was in year 12, I came to the unique summer schools for physics, and I had probably one of the best weeks of my life there, and it was basically a sort of taster into how physics at Oxford would be like. So the days were structured with lots of activities, including lectures and just a variety of sessions with professors and other students who were also interested in physics. And it just seemed like everything clicked at that point. And of course, Oxford is a beautiful city and it is one of the best universities in the world. So yeah, it seemed like the obvious choice.
Yeah. And Caitlin, what about you? What made you choose?
Yeah, I just really enjoyed studying maths and physics for A-level. And I really enjoyed reading about physics and just like solving physics problems, and I wanted a challenging course here at Oxford, and I love my time here, so I'm glad I picked it.
Great. And Caitlin, have you found Oxford welcoming?
Yeah, definitely so. From when I first arrived, everybody was really helpful, really friendly, and I'm actually really lucky as well that in this college there's 6 physicists and 3 of us are girls, so that's a really nice thing for women in physics, and to have that kind of support from them as well. So yeah, I felt welcomed here.
Nice. And what about you, Sparshita?
Yeah, I think that's a question that comes into a lot of people's minds. They come in, they think, oh, it's a new scenario, it's not secondary school anymore, what is university going to be like? And surprisingly, you come in, everyone is in the same boat as you. Mm-hmm. So it's very easy to come in, meet new people, talk to new people, not just from your subject, just every subject. And you sort of relate to them because they come from such different backgrounds, but everyone has that one thing in common, that they all love their subjects, they all enjoy everything that's going on around them, and everyone just wants to enjoy the experience. So, yeah.
Great, thank you. And Tony, I wonder if you would be able to shed some light on how the physics teaching's organised between the university and the colleges.
Thank you. So that's an interesting question. So the bulk of the teaching is done centrally through the department. So all students from all colleges go to lectures in common in departments, and then practical labs, which are an important part of the course, are also organised centrally. But then there is another almost unique feature of Oxford teaching, is that there's an important tutorial element where students come and discuss physics problems in a very small group, typically 2 students and one tutor. And that allows for really interactive learning experience rather than teaching. And I think that's where students really get to grips with the difficulties and interesting things about physics.
Good. And for you, Caitlin, how do you find the tutorial sessions?
I really enjoy tutorials, and I feel really lucky to have them, because it's a great opportunity to discuss the work that you've done. So you get like 2 problem sheets a week normally, and you'll have a tutorial for each and discuss it with your tutor. And it's honestly so helpful just to spend that hour or so just focusing on the problems and having that discussion. Yeah.
I think the tutorial system is definitely one of my favourite parts of the entire course. Initially, I was very nervous about them, of course. They're a lot like the interview, actually. You go in and you have a tutor in front of you and you discuss work. Sometimes you basically get some inside knowledge about what research they're doing, which is also quite interesting. And yeah, it is very nice to be able to talk more about the problem sheets, talk more about the questions and the research and everything going on around in your subject. And also you're talking to experts in the field. So that is another really, of course, exciting thing. Yeah.
And so another question for you, Tony. I wonder, one of the things that students often ask is whether the tutorials are the same across all of the colleges, where there's different tutors.
So the tutorial system works in the same way, and students at all colleges have active researchers giving tutorials in a similar spirit. So the details might vary about how they're done, but the general idea is the same across all colleges.
Good. And the research project, that's often something the students look forward to. I wonder if you could give us some idea of the sorts of research project and how it fits in with the course.
So the idea of the research projects is not necessarily fit with the course, but they give students an opportunity to work with the research groups. And we have students who work with us in the vacation here, and they do interesting things, and they help our research as well. And then other students go off to other labs, other universities, other countries to do research projects, and we support them and help them get those places. So they all have opportunities to see what research is like here and elsewhere if they're interested.
Okay. And are the student projects an examinable part of the course?
They're not mainly, they're only very marginally part of the course in that sense. They can be offset against some practical element, but they're really doing it because they're interested, they're fun, and it gives them an opportunity to see what is research really like, which is a bit different to the undergraduate work they're doing. It tells them helps them decide what they want to do after they finish here as undergraduates.
Great. And the difference between the 3- and 4-year courses at Oxford for physics?
So the 4-year course is the main course which most students do, and it's the course you need to do if you want to go on to be a professional physicist, either in universities or in a government lab or in industry. If after 3 years you decided, okay, you enjoyed it, but you want to go out into the world and maybe do something different, then you can leave after 3 years and you still have a good degree, still a classified degree. So if that's what you want to do, then it's an honourable exit.
Good, thank you. And some questions for our students again. If we start with Sparshita, I just wonder what's been your favourite part of the course so far?
In a general sense, as I said before, I really enjoy the tutorial system. It's just very nice to be able to have a small group of people and discuss ideas. And in terms of subject or topic, I like everything. It's just everything's being taught so well, and every subject has its own little bit that sticks out. Personally, next year I'm choosing to pursue particle physics and theoretical physics.
Very good choice.
Yeah. Tony has definitely been a big influence. So yeah, I think everyone has. I think the first 2 years it's hard to tell because you get a taster for a lot of different topics within physics, and you realize just how broad it is, which you don't have any idea until you start university. There's no possible way. But yeah, I think I've got a
And what year are you in just now?
So I'm in third. I just finished third year.
Okay.
I'm going on to fourth year.
You're going on to fourth year. And Caitlin, what about you? What's been your favourite part of the course? You could remind us what year you're in as well.
Okay, so I've just finished second year. I love the course. I'm really not sure which area of physics I'd want to specialise in. And I do really enjoy tutorials, and also I suppose I could talk a bit about labs. They're really fun. You work with a partner, and second year it's normally 2-day labs, and you just set off on a task and you have to solve lots of problems. And I particularly like the electronics labs, and one on like the introduction to the computer, where we looked at so seeing how computers work and doing some like assembly code programming. That was quite fun. Yeah.
Oh, sounds fun. So, Tony, I wonder if I could ask whether candidates are at a disadvantage in applying to Oxford if they have the International Baccalaureate or other non-UK qualification rather than the classical A-levels of the UK system.
No, there's definitely no disadvantage where we know how to translate from many different educational systems to the UK one. We have many international students, and so we don't see any problems with that.
Okay. And are there any quotas for students from the EU?
No, there's not, is the short answer. We don't have quotas for EU students for any of our subjects.
Okay. And on the subject of personal statements, Tony, I wonder if you could tell us whether you think the personal statement for physics is important.
So personal statements in physics are not really important. They're not counted as part when we're scoring, combining the different evidence we have. We do read the personal statements mainly because sometimes there's some exceptional circumstances, and exceptional circumstances then we will take notice of those, but otherwise they're in general not considered.
And Alice, a question for you about English language requirements if English is not the first language. Do candidates need IELTS or another English language requirement?
Yes, so if English isn't a student's first language and they are applying from outside the UK, it's very likely that we will ask them to meet one of our English language requirements. We do accept the IELTS plus other qualifications, and you can see the qualifications that we will accept on our website, so do have a look at the English language requirements section of the website. There are some exemptions, so if a student is studying in the medium of English for the 2 years prior to the 15th of October and are going to continue studying in English for the following and final year, then they may well be exempt. And do have a look at the website for the full details, requirements and exemptions too.
And Tony, I wonder how physics tutors view a gap year.
So we've had students who do gap years and some don't, and we don't have any fixed views. The only advice I would give for students doing gap years is it's useful if they keep in touch with physics, and so they keep that part of their brains alive, so they should do some reading, some working on problems in physics, so they keep going, so they're ready in a good mental shape when they start their physics course.
And question for Sparshita to start with. I wonder how you chose your college. So you probably decided you definitely want to do physics and you definitely wanted to come to Oxford, but how did you actually choose which college to come for?
So I was here for the unique summer schools at St. John's, luckily, and of course, you go to the open days and you have a look around. Every college has its own little perks to it. That they are very much like little student communities, and it very much depends on how you feel about the college. Sometimes you go in and you think, it's like choosing a house. You go in and you think, that's the one for me. And I got that feeling from St. John's, so I chose it. Also, you can look into the kind of research that goes on in the college, the tutors, and very much anything. It's completely up to you. The colleges from the outside might look similar at first glance, but they are very different when you go inside and look around a little bit. So I would suggest go to open days, have a look at what you think, what you find important, because you will be living in college and you'll be spending a lot of time in that college. Each college has a lot of extracurriculars associated with them and other various features. So have a look at that, see what you're interested in, and base your decision on that, basically.
I think it's true to say that most students, when they start at a college, it only takes them a few days to feel that they're really at home and they really belong there, regardless of where they end up going.
Yeah, I mean, Oxford is very friendly. Every single college, they will make you feel welcome no matter where you go. Yeah. And you will be able to talk to people outside of the college as well, so you're not restricted to where you live. And yeah.
Good. And Caitlin, can you remember the thought processes that went through your head when you were choosing the college that you applied to?
So yeah, I had a number of similar things that I was looking for. So to add to that, that there were some factors that were important to me. So for instance, John's offers accommodation for all of the years of your course. It's got quite a good location. We're only, 3 minutes away from the physics block. And as you've said, there's a nice community at any college you go to. I'm sure I would have been happy wherever, but I am very happy at John's.
Great.
Yeah.
I wonder,
I wanted to add something there. I think it's quite useful to remember as well that you don't have to choose a college too. You can do an open application. So if you've looked at all the colleges and you've actually thought, actually there's more similarities than differences, the course will stay the same at whichever college that you study at, so your course will not differ. You can do an open application and you'll be assigned a college. There's also a process of reallocation that goes on, so your college choice doesn't affect your chance of getting into Oxford too.
Great, thank you, Alice. So, Caitlin, I wonder if you can wind your mind back and think about when you were about to sit the PAT test, which is the admissions test for physics. And I wonder if you could take us through the preparation process you went through to make sure that you felt ready for that test.
Mm-hmm. Okay. There's quite a lot of past papers online that you can go and have a look at. I think that's the best way to prepare, really, just work through them. And if you can, possibly get like a teacher to help you with that. There's also non-official solutions online for that. There's loads and loads of like physics, maths, general problem solving like websites and resources out there. So it was just a case of finding them. Yeah.
And was that similar for you, Sparshita?
Yeah, I think the best way is, of course, get lots of question practice in. Personally speaking, I remember I went to my teacher and asked for the A-level textbooks, and I did OCR. So I went and got the Year 12 and Year 13 textbooks just for OCR and just look through them.
What's OCR?
OCR is one of the boards for physics, at A-level. And I just worked through those questions and worked through the past papers, and further to what Caitlin said about the online solutions, they're pretty good. So I would recommend do the papers, check your answers, and learn from them, because they are, they'll do the trick.
Okay.
Can I just add as well, so for those of you from non-UK schools who are going to be doing the PAT test, do have a look at the syllabus that we publish online too, and do talk to your physics teacher, because it may be that some things within the syllabus for the PAT you haven't done yet in your national qualification.
Great. Tony, I wonder, as well as the PAT test that we've had nicely explained there for preparation, I wonder if there's any other work that a candidate can do outside school that might actually help with their application.
So I think it's in a similar spirit to what Caitlin and Sparshita are already telling you. What we're looking for in physics is ability to problem solve. So it's not just understanding something in some abstract, but turning it into practice and getting some results out of a theory. So the work that Sparshita and Caitlin were telling you about, you can extend that because you can find books on physics, interesting physics problems, and thinking about through those, working them through, looking at more advanced physics as the type of thing that will help develop your abilities in that way.
Great, thank you. And moving on to open days, Tony, I wonder if you could give us an overview of what actually happens on a physics open day from the college perspective and the department.
Sure. So in the physics department, then students get some taster lectures in physics. There's some fun demonstrations to go to. They look around practical labs and see some of the research facilities, and then they come to college and they can look around college, see what it's like, and have a chance to talk to college tutors to find out in more detail what the physics course here is like and whether it's right for them.
But and what would, if someone isn't able to make that open day, do you think then it will affect their chances of being able to make a good application to Oxford?
No, I don't think that's true in any way. There's lots of information on the web, and they can contact us if they have further questions. So there's no problem there.
Okay. And how would they contact you if they wanted to?
They can. My email is visible on the college web pages. They can send me questions if they want.
Yeah, or they can contact the Access Office as well, and the websites on the emails on the website as well. But if someone is coming for open day and they're coming from overseas, for example, is there accommodation available at St John's?
So in general, we have accommodation for open days. We're actually full for the open days coming up next week, but there's spaces, for example, we have open days in September, and then there's free college accommodation available for people wanting to come.
Great, thank you. Okay, so moving on to the interview, Tony, I wonder, as a physics tutor at St John's, whether you could tell us what type of person you're looking for when you interview.
So we're looking for students who are bright and particularly keen to study our subject with us, and have demonstrated some abilities already to think like a physicist and be able to take theories and models and apply them to problems and solve problems.
Good. And if we ask the students now, Caitlin, I wonder if you can cast your mind back to the interview process and tell us what it was like for you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we got to come and stay in college at Oxford, and it was made a really nice experience where you could get to know the other interview candidates, and you were made to feel very at home when you were here. And then the interviews themselves, I had 3. 2 were in St John's, and they were roughly split, 1 maths, 1 physics. I found the interviews a bit scary going into them, but the tutors really did make you try to make you feel really relaxed, and they were really helpful. So it's just kind of they'll give you a problem to solve, and they will help you along the way. They just want to see how you think and respond to hints that they give. And it's really similar to what tutorials are like when you actually come and study here. So it's just a good way to see if that's the kind of style of learning that you like as well. So it's a good learning experience for you to see what it's like to come and study at Oxford later as well.
Great. And Sparshita, can you remember your interview?
I think it was a very similar experience. I would say that there are a lot of myths out there about interviewers being stone-faced and scary. And I remember when I went to my teacher for a practice interview, he gave me a very, very hard time. And so naturally, everyone is nervous going into an interview. I was very nervous, but it was entirely made by me. I came in, it was a very nice room. There were sofas everywhere. We sat down and we had a discussion. That was basically the interview, and it was 20 minutes long, but it felt like it went in 5 minutes, because you do enjoy yourself and you kind of forget where you are after a while. And it's very much a discussion. So it's not that they give you a question and say, that's it, I'm going to stare at you until you solve it. It's you have a go, you get stuck, they'll give you some hints, they'll have a discussion with you, you'll work your way through the answer together. And And I remember actually, before the interview, they gave us a little bit of a pep talk with all the tutors, and they told us, pretend it's a normal day. You're just here for a chat with us, and that's all. It's not a scary, life-changing decision, and it's true. It's supposed to be relaxing. You're going to be a bit nervous, but it's worth it. It's okay. It's a lot better than you think. Yeah.
And how did you actually prepare yourself academically and mentally for the interview? Can you remember the processes that you went through?
So, well, the PAT kind of helps with question practice because the interviews are quite technical. You will be asked physics-related questions. For example, I remember in Tony's interview, so it's usually 2 interviewers, and they take it in turns to ask you questions or discuss things with you. Tony asked me a very nice, simple harmonic motion question, which I was quite happy about. There was also a moment where he asked me to estimate the population of Oxford, which I remember saying something very interesting. But the preparation very much depends on you. I mean, most people, I think, you look through questions beforehand. Practice your estimation questions because that will help. You can go to your teachers. You can ask them for help with interviews, so you have just an idea of how to answer questions on the spot. And I think that's pretty much.
What about yourself? How did you prepare yourself so that you could come to Oxford, go into the interview and feel that you could deliver your best performance?
I read a lot of physics before I came in. So I tried to read as much as I could. I tried to do as many questions as I could. And it wasn't something that I had to force myself to do because of course, I'm very interested in physics and maths, and it kind of came naturally. So I quite enjoyed going through the PAT papers. Also, I used the Cambridge entrance exam past papers as well. Okay. So anything really, whatever you find interesting, go read extra material, read sci-fi books. I mean, analyze how accurate they are. I mean, it all kind of helps. Yeah.
Great. And Caitlin, what about you? How did you prepare for coming?
Yeah, I think you've pretty much covered most of what I would have said. Yeah, just go solve problems. That's the best way to prepare. Go get extra textbooks from your teachers. Go ask your teachers for mock interviews. And then in terms of actually preparing just beforehand, like while you're in Oxford, it's just important just to stay as relaxed as you can and do what works for you. So if you want to go and just read through some notes beforehand, that's fine. There's also the option you can just go and socialise with all the other interview candidates. There's games on in the evenings. There's just lots of things going on, and just try and keep calm and not see it as like the biggest decision that's going to impact your life. Because whatever happens, you'll go on and you can go and study physics wherever and do whatever you want. Like it's not. It's. Just go give it a go, but don't get too stressed about it. I know it's easier said than done, and I definitely was a bit panicked.
Yeah, I think certainly the interviewers expect you to be nervous, so you don't have to worry about that because it's expected, and we just want to put you at your ease.
Yeah.
So good. So at the end, I know one more question for you, Caitlin. At the end of the interview, when you walked out, did you know how you'd done?
I couldn't really tell. I just gave it a good go, and there were questions that I got stuck on, which is inevitable. But I got help from the tutors, and we worked through the problems. So yeah, I couldn't really tell. Yeah.
And what about you, Sparshita? Did you know that you'd done well enough to get in, or?
I thought I'd really screwed it up. And I came out thinking, I was sort of analysing every single question that was asked and thought to myself, I could have answered that so much better. I could have said this instead of what I actually said. And I think, you do come out and I think everyone overanalyzes what happens in there. But then you think about it, and it's 20 minutes of your life. Yeah. And essentially, you have a good discussion and you come out. So you really can't tell, because a couple of people came out saying they did really well. And I remember thinking, what? Well, we asked the same questions. And
do you see them here now?
I don't see them here now.
Don't see them here. Okay.
But I wouldn't say, I'm not going to say that's a correlation or anything, but in general, I think don't expect them to go amazingly well. I think you will get stuck, and the point is that you get stuck. Because otherwise, if you don't get stuck, you're not going to have a discussion. You're just going to breeze through the question. That's true. The tutors are not going to be able to tell anything about how your mind works, and that's the whole point.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. The note interview, which could go perfect, because we just keep asking harder and harder questions. Eventually, the idea is we find questions that are challenging in the students, and then we see it's not how much they know, but whether they can learn and how can they interact with us intelligently and develop.
Great. So the next thing we're going to talk about is fees and funding, and these questions are for Alice. So Alice, I wonder if you'd be able to tell us how Brexit will affect EU students studying in the UK, and what tuition fees they'd be charged if they start in 2019.
So unfortunately, we don't know the answers to these questions. So as you will probably be aware, the UK had a referendum in June 2016, and the vote was in favour of the UK leaving the European Union. What we don't know is how this will affect EU students coming to the UK, or UK students going to the EU in the future. Currently, EU students are classed as home students, and EU students are eligible for home tuition fees, which is £9,250 a year, plus access to a UK government student loan. So the UK government has confirmed that for students starting in 2018, this will stay the same for the duration of their course. So even if the UK were to leave the European Union during the time of that student's degree, nothing will change. However, For students starting in 2019, we haven't yet been given these guarantees. We are currently awaiting government guidance. We haven't been told things will change, but we haven't been told things won't change. Our biggest piece of advice is to keep an eye on the university website. As soon as we have any information, we'll publish it on our fees and funding page. This will also be publicised in the news, so do keep an eye on the UK media as well. We have a very useful fees and funding search tool, so I'd recommend using the fees and funding search tool on the website, which is ox.ac.uk/funding. For those starting in 2019, like I said, just keep an eye on the news, and hopefully we will have some further details soon. I think the thing to add to that, so Oxford is a very thriving international community, and we don't want the EU referendum to have an effect on the internationalisation of Oxford, and we're pretty certain that it won't. I think we're a very welcoming university for students from all across the world, and we will continue to be so.
Thanks, Alice. I wonder if you could throw some light on whether Oxford is more expensive than other UK universities.
I would say it's not, no. So Oxford follows UK government regulations in regards to our tuition fees, so we have the same tuition fees as the majority of other UK universities. Actually living in Oxford as well, although it is an expensive city, actually as a student at Oxford, because of the college system, this does really help keep down costs. So accommodation, dining within the colleges are really kept at a low level. Also Oxford's resources, so we have excellent libraries. So throughout the university there's around 100 libraries, over 12 million books. So the resources are really well stocked, so students usually can get access to most things they need. I don't know how you found it as students here, getting access to books. Have you had to spend much money at doing that? No.
Not at all. But I do agree the libraries are one of the best parts of there are so many libraries, and you spend a lot of time studying, of course, and I think the libraries are the perfect place to go for that. So, yeah.
Yeah, and accommodation prices, they are set by the colleges, and they do vary a little bit college to college. So you can, and we do publish the accommodation costs on our website, so you can have a look at the costs of living in Oxford within colleges. I think the other thing that makes Oxford, can make Oxford a little bit cheaper living in the colleges, is that students will only pay for their accommodation during term time. And because Oxford's terms are shorter than most universities, so our terms are 8 weeks long, actually you're just paying for 3 8-week terms per year, usually too. Travel costs are low, so Oxford's a very small city. Most students can walk or cycle very easily around the city to get to lectures, to different libraries too. So actually, I think Oxford is quite competitive in regards to the cost.
And what about those students who are from poorer backgrounds? What kind of financial help are available for these students?
So Oxford has a very generous bursary system. We have a Oxford bursary that all UK and EU students are eligible. It's household income assessed, so if the student's household income falls below a certain amount, then the student will automatically be eligible for a bursary. And this is up to about £3,700 a year that's available to support students with living costs while they're at university. Again, the details of that are on the website, so do have a look over that if you want to find out a bit more. And about 1 in 4 students do get access to this bursary, so it is a very, very generous bursary in terms of UK universities.
Okay, well, thank you everyone for all of your comments on these questions, which I think will be really helpful for students applying for physics at St John's and at Oxford in general. If there's anyone who would like to ask some other questions or get in touch with us, they're very welcome. If they contact access at sjc.ox.ac.uk, and we'd be happy to answer any further questions. Thank you.
I just want to say thanks for watching this lovely event, and as Sandra just said, we're very happy to answer more questions for the questions we haven't answered today. Please send them in and we'll do our best to answer them.